This is a CBC podcast.
In Britain, on July 19th, COVID-19 restrictions in England are going to be lifted. Social distancing will no longer be mandatory. Concerts and sporting events will be allowed to resume without any limits on the number of people. But the opening policy, or Freedom Day, as it's been dubbed, comes at a time when there's a surge in new cases because of the Delta variant. For more, we have reached Alice Denby. She is the deputy editor of the British online site CapX, a politics and economics website. Alice, good morning.
Good morning.
Can you explain what opens as of July 19th?
Yeah, I think the first thing to say is this isn't some kind of dramatic big bang reopening. Lots of pubs and restaurants and things have been open for a while. It's really more of a shift of emphasis away from government-imposed rules and towards personal responsibility. So instead of having legislation about mask wearing and social distancing and how many people can meet up, it's now going to be up to businesses and individuals. And while that does mean we're going to have nightclubs reopening, festivals, sports events, weddings, it might be that the organisers want you to show a negative test or evidence that you've been vaccinated. So it's not a case of just all throwing our masks on the bonfire just yet.
Yeah, because we should say that in the meantime, COVID cases are going up. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, I think this is the reason why it doesn't feel like a kind of big moment to celebrate. We are seeing about 30,000 new cases of this Delta variant every day, and we've been warned that that's going to continue to go up. It could get as high as 100,000. But the good news is that far fewer people are getting very ill. Far fewer people are ending up in hospital and far fewer people are dying. So the vaccines are working. They've broken that link between a surge in cases and a surge in deaths.
We know some scientists have called the decision to lift restrictions dangerous, premature. What have you been hearing from critics? Yeah,
there are plenty of people who are worried about this. It's fair to say we'd all be feeling more confident if this was against a background of falling case rates. But the government argues that if we delay this step further into the autumn, perhaps we're going to come up against the flu season. Kids are off school at the moment. And I think the consensus is really that it's now or never.
And the backup plan if cases continue to rise?
Well, the government has publicly said that this step is irreversible, that there's no going back, and that even though cases are rising and we're expecting them to go up even further, that's built into the modelling. We're confident at the moment that that's not going to lead to the kind of overwhelmed hospitals and the kind of scenes that we had back in January. That said, other countries have taken backward steps. Israel has reintroduced a mask mandate, so I wouldn't rule out a return of any of the restrictions we've seen over the past year and a half coming back if it comes to, the health service being unable to cope.
So what will you be watching for over the coming days and weeks?
And I really think that the key measurement now isn't case numbers anymore. It's really hospitalizations and ultimately death. Because the real challenge is to make sure, your hospitals can keep functioning. And at the moment, there's plenty of capacity, and it's still running fine. I think that's the real thing we'll be keeping an eye on.
Good of you to join us this morning with this update, Alice.
Thank you. Pleasure to talk to you.
Alice Denby is the deputy editor of the British online site CapX, a politics and economics website, and we reached her this morning in London, England.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.